G'day legends, do you like your mixers super heavy with big clear guitars but a solid deep low end? Then you're going to want to check out Otto Audio's latest plugin release, a bass VST called L.E.A.D. So that is L.E.A.D. The low end is super thick, round, and deep. Now this is important because Otto Audio are changing the philosophy around bass mixing. For a long time, bass has been creeping up into the guitar area of a mix, more mids, more clank, more grind. And while that can be a cool sound and it does work for specific genres where you really want to hear the pick grinding through a mix, that's not always going to be the best thing for a mix. And just because something's heavy doesn't mean you have to have a lot of that stuff in there. Your mix can sound big and heavy while the bass just occupies the fundamental region of where it lives, down in that low end, keeping everything nice and thick and heavy sounding, while the guitar can occupy the mid-range where it lives. So let's have a listen to L.E.A.D. on its own. Make sure you're listening on some headphones or on some speakers that can reproduce bass, because this video is all about the low end. And guys, after you watch this video, if you're interested in grabbing a copy of L.E.A.D. for yourself, make sure you hit that link in the description below and use the code GETHEAVIER for $30 off. This applies to multiple plugins in checkout and it's not a one-time use. Also, owners of Djaa Maasta and Djaa Maasta Ultraa will get even bigger stackable discounts. So this is L.E.A.D. right here. And before we kind of talk about the whole user interface and what's included here, I just want to draw your attention to this section here. We have some built-in IR. It's got 3 built-in cabs that are going to give you different flavors of tone. And then you can flick that off if you want to load your own IRs or a bass plugin after L.E.A.D. None of those tones are super mid-range heavy. There's nothing that's sort of jumping out, scratching, and being very abrasive sounding. The focus really is on the low end. Now, as I said before, if you don't want to use the built-in cabs within L.E.A.D, you can load your own bass amp plugins afterwards. So here's a couple of examples of different bass amp plugins with L.E.A.D running into it using just the DI tone. So as you can hear, L.E.A.D can be very versatile. So what makes L.E.A.D so special is it's sampled from a custom 4-string 35 to 37 inch scale bass. It goes all the way down to F-sharp -1. It is incredibly low, a whole octave lower than Otto Audio's baritone Djaa Maasta Ultraa guitar VSTi, which is a really cool DAW tuned guitar plugin, which we're going to have a little look at a bit later as well. What this means is when you're using L.E.A.D, you'll always be able to keep it an octave lower than the guitar, which is amazing for keeping them in their own space. If you think about masking and frequencies, when the bass comes up and meets the guitar at certain frequency ranges, that's where things can get messy and muddy. By having this super low tuned bass, you can always keep the guitars and the bass in their own lanes, which makes your mix feel bigger, more open and clearer, and it leaves space for the guitars to do their thing. So you can hear there's absolutely no masking between the guitars and the bass. When you take one or the other out, they're not affecting each other in any way. When you put them in, you can hear they're just occupying their own space in the mix, which is really important for just being able to achieve a really big, clear mix. Now, what I want to show you is a comparison between L.E.A.D and another popular 37-inch bass VSTi, so you can hear just how focused the low end is on L.E.A.D. To do this, we're going to compare just the DI tones without any cab sims applied. This will give you a true representation of the original sound of each of these plugins. L.E.A.D has a way more natural sound in the way that it's picking, but it also has just a better low end. Straight up on the DI sound, you can hear how much thicker and richer it sounds. Once you apply, you kind of amp, you cab sim, it only gets better from there. Whereas on the other bass VSTi, it sounded a lot more robotic to me in the way that it was picked, but it also is living up in that mid-range. Like you can hear that DI tone is heavy on the mids. And again, that's just going to get in the way of your guitars and mask them a little bit. Okay, let's take a quick look at the user interface. Basically here, you can adjust the attack, sustain, decay, release. It's actually dialed in pretty good. But for example, if you wanted to soften the attack, you could roll this back a little bit. I think it's perfectly dialed in when you load the plugin up, but it is there if you want to adjust it. You've got the option to change the pitch bend range. You can change the style from natural to aggressive. You can also change it from mono to stereo. The string force button adds a bit of extra aggression to the sound. You've got 10 different articulations to choose from: sustain, sustain down pick, chugs, chugs down pick, harmonics, tremolo, slide up, slide down, bends, and effects. So for example, tremolo. Here's the slide ups. Slide down. Bends. Sustain down picks. So it sounds very constant, whereas sustain has more of the up pick in there. So plenty of articulations to play around with. Now it's worth mentioning that the amp sim used in this demo is Otto Audio's 1111. Just some solid heavy guitar tones, and there's so many presets in here, so many different tones from just this one amp. You can see having two different sounds on the left and the right using the same amp sim sounds absolutely awesome, adds extra width, adds a nice fullness to the sound, and they blend together really nicely. Being able to change the impedance curve makes a really big difference to the overall tone as well. So that's another way of just changing the tone of the amp sound. If you click on the back, there's even more settings for tweakability. You can flick through different IRs. You can play with things like sag, snarl, the bias, feedback, change the power tube section. It's a very, very versatile guitar amp plugin, and if you're making heavy music, it's a solid one to have in your arsenal. Also worth mentioning, if you're making heavy music and you want to reinforce your guitars and make them sound even bigger and heavier, using a guitar VSTi can be really awesome. And the one I've got here is Djaa Maasta Ultraa. This is Otto Audio's baritone guitar VSTi, and it sounds absolutely awesome. When you blend it in with your other guitars, it just makes everything sound super thick and heavy. So that's a really cool way of making your heavy production sound heavier. And of course, special mention to Otto Audio's heavy compressor and More is More plugin. We're using these on the mix bus. There's nothing else. These are just adding some extra punch, the loudness that we need to make this sound massive. So as you can hear, really useful for pumping up the mix, getting it nice and loud. Heavy compressor, solid all-rounder, bass, drums, guitars, vocals, anywhere you need some compression. It also has a bunch of built-in saturation distortion modes, which sound really cool. More is More is an awesome exciter slash inflator kind of plugin. Like you can make your mix sound bigger, louder. You can do clipping, you can do saturation. It's got limiting. You can open up a harmonic section and you can add excitement to the mix as well. So for example, if you wanted to add a bit of air to your mix, you can set your frequency range quite high, push your air lift and the intensity. Really nice way to add some excitement. So to cap it off, guys, Otto Audio are making some awesome tools for getting your mixes big and heavy. And L.E.A.D is another one of those tools that you can start using in your mixes to get a deep, heavy low end without interfering with your guitars. So guys, if you're interested in checking out L.E.A.D, make sure you hit that link in the description below. And make sure you use the code GETHEAVIER for $30 off at checkout. This applies to multiple plugins in checkout. It's not a one-time use. And also owners of Djaa Maasta and Djaa Maasta Ultraa get even bigger stackable discounts. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to support this channel, make sure you visit my website in the description below. I've got a bunch of drum sample packs and mixing courses over there. Grabbing any of that stuff is a great way of supporting this channel. If you're interested in taking a deeper dive into Otto Audio's 1111, then check out this next video coming up.